Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. It's Wednesday afternoon. We are talking right now with professional sports bettor Teddy Covers. We're going to take a look at the Thursday night game this week, Tampa Bay and St. Louis. And Teddy, there has been some line movement on this one, right? St. Louis has actually taken money. It was pick'em or +1 earlier in the week, and now it's all the way up to -1.5, 2, or 2.5. So the market also seems to be unsure of where to set this line at the moment, but clearly the money has come in on the Rams. The total is solidly, though, at 41, and I guess the issue is just what you take from the Rams' win last week against Detroit. Sharp action came in on Detroit, and last week the line movement was strongly moving against the Rams. The Rams proved that line movement to be wrong. Maybe the line movement in their favor this week will be against them. They had been 0-4-1 against the spread before the Detroit game. And Tampa Bay, in general, a decent team. Their wild card hopes took a hit last week. The reports are they just came out flat. Maybe on the short week they bounce back here. What do you think? Maybe Tampa Bay +2.5. That's how I'm leaning, Teddy.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the difference between a -1.5 versus a -2 versus a -2.5. We're not talking. Anytime you're talking about less than a field goal, once you break that ±3 barrier. Some books will hang a 1.5. There are books that are worried about teasers that'll hang what we call a teaser protection line. That's a little bit shorter.
Yeah, that's true. But actually, I looked at I compared everything on SBR odds, and the books that are having different numbers are actually not protecting against teasers. It just seems like some books are, wanting Tampa Bay action less than others.
Yeah, but frankly, in terms of the line not being set across the board, there's some lanes that there's painted 3 everywhere, or painted 7, or particularly around key numbers. Wherever you look, you'll see the same point spread. That's not the case for this one, but certainly the trend has been St. Louis money from the opener. And to me, it seems everything on what we saw last week. Again, I always examine the look-ahead lines. Here in Las Vegas, the Westgate Superbook post look headlines every week. I know there are some offshore books that do it as well. And you want to see how did that one performance last week affect the point spread.
Right.
And last week, this game was priced in a pick'em range. As you mentioned, it opened in a pick'em range. And now we're looking at St. Louis as the clear favorite here, based in large part on last week's performance. What happened for the Rams last week? Well, they faced a Lions team that made a ton of mistakes. Detroit threw a pick 6. The Rams, their offense hasn't produced more than 2 touchdowns in any of their last 6 ball games, including last week. It was a pick 6 last week that was the difference maker for St. Louis in that contest. And one positive, I guess 2 positives. One is that Todd Gurley had his first good game in a month against the Detroit rush defense that had been pretty good prior to last week. And the second positive is that I guess Case Keenum didn't make too many mistakes. But Keenum's had 2 starts. He hasn't thrown for 150 yards in either one of them. This is the guy that got Gary Kubiak fired from Houston. He's a bottom-tier NFL quarterback. Jameis Winston's the better of the 2 QBs. And when you look at the course of Todd Gurley's last 6 weeks, I'm willing to say that last week's performance was the aberration, not the rule, especially against a Bucs run defense that's been pretty good this season.
Yeah, and especially against a Bucs team in general that felt like they came out flat last week and is probably going to be a little bit pissed off about it. All right, so I think we're in agreement here. St. Louis has some beasts, Aaron Donald and Todd Gurley, and if both those guys have huge games here, they probably do get the win and cover. But in general, I'm leaning Tampa Bay +2.5. Sounds like you are as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, all the post-game quotes from the Bucs following last week's flat effort against New Orleans, where they didn't play well on offense, they didn't play well on defense, they didn't play well on special teams. All the quotes were not "our season's done," not "oh, we blew our chance for the playoffs." They're like, "Hey, we got a chance for redemption in 4 days. We're going to go up to St. Louis and win." And I read multiple reports, and these aren't coaches' quotes; these are player quotes. And I always, put more emphasis on player quotes than coaches' quotes. And to a man, it looks like Tampa Bay, they're not hanging their heads. They're coming out to play. And while the short week doesn't tend to help road teams, Tampa's better of these 2 teams. I'm with you, Peter Loshak. If I'm going to play it, I'm taking the points with the Bucs. Seems like I'm on.
That's how I'm feeling about my bankroll as well. With my losing bet on Tampa Bay last week, I'm not like, oh, my season's over, my bankroll's done. I'm like, I'm going to come back next week and bet on the Bucs again and get it all back. All right, I hope we're right on this one, Teddy Covers. Thanks so much.
Pleasure's mine.